Hello everybody, it's Drinkwater200 here, and today I finally reached 1,000 subscribers. I just want to thank each and every one of you guys that have subscribed, comment on my videos, and stayed active. Thank you very much for 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate all of you guys. 1,000 doesn't seem like much, but man, that's 1,000 people that like my content. So yeah, guys. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a landscape. I guess you could say the correct way or the right way. This is basically the most simplest way that I found of making a landscape. And yeah, I'm going to teach you guys. So for starters, we're going to place a sun and sky gadget, and we're just going to make the fog to 10,000. That's the beginning, okay? We're going to lower the flex shade randomness, and we're going to lower the horizon definition. We're going to bring this up to about 100. And that's just for us to have that clear sky. Now, I usually change the sky to the third one. It honestly depends on what you like. Let's bring this to 150 instead of 100. So 150. I usually do 150. And there we go. I usually do the fourth fleck, or you can do, like, the sky is basically up to you. But once you have that done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our landscape now, okay? So let's begin by, first off, bringing the sun all the way up, okay? Now once we have our sun down, we have our sun created and stuff. What we're going to do now is we're basically going to use this floor that we start off with as a base. So I'm just going to make this bigger, okay guys? So after I make this bigger, I'm just going to raise the sun and sky a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to go into my modes, sculpt mode, going to go into the filled donut, and I'm going to enable tentacle snap, not surface, tentacle snap, okay? And now basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my land. So I'm just going to do some random land. Random land shape, you know, it doesn't really matter, just something that doesn't look too fake. Want to make it a nice landscape, so we're just gonna do this. Alright, so once we have that done, we have our little landscape circle here, and let's just, yeah. So we have our little landscape circle here. Make sure you don't leave an area like this. Also, if you don't want to make a landscape like this, like this, you can use the actual block. So you can just do this on the starting block, but I usually like to do it on a custom block. Now, once you have this done, what I usually like to do is I usually like to go into the cube, turn off the surface snap, turn on grid mode. And what I usually like to do is I usually like to go into the subtract mode. This is just me though. You guys don't have to do this. I usually like to go to the subtract mode, and I basically like to subtract the land and make it a flat, really nice, smooth land. Okay. Now, some of you guys could choose to do this if you wanted to. You don't have to though. And just blend it. But for this tutorial, I'm not going to do that. So, alright, so here's what we're going to do now. So we're going to test the ground. So to test the ground, what we're going to do is we're going to place our puppet down, okay? This already seems like it's a little too big in my opinion, but usually go to the tools, go to the sculpture detail, and put your landscape all the way up to the maximum. Okay. Alright, so like I said, this looks a little bit too big in my opinion, just from the scale I'm looking at, but let's test it out anyways. So I'm just gonna make some grass. So you would go to your color. I usually choose the green and yellows. I usually go to 196, and I usually just bring this down to the dark greens. Okay, and then I usually always for the realism I bring this to 100 always. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna raise the impasto, okay, all the way up, all the way up. All right, and we're gonna go to the grass. I usually use the streaky, and we're gonna just do that. Okay, so it turns out this is actually not too big. This is actually a perfect size. So we can actually make this bigger if we wanted to. It depends on how comfortable you feel with the height of the grass on your puppet, and I don't like that, so I'm gonna keep it as it was. Maybe about there. Yeah, perfect. Now this drawing in the distance thing can be fixed by going into the grass you just made, go into the third option, go into flex perspective, and there we go. I also recommend that you turn up the ruffle, just gives it more randomness, you know. And there goes the grass. We're done with the grass. Now we're going to basically do some little flowers or flower looking area, and a bottom base for our grass. So we're just gonna go here to the modes. We're gonna go into the tools, actually, sorry about that. We're gonna go to the clone, make sure that live clone is turned on. We're gonna just press R2. Now we got a live clone. Okay, now what we're gonna do now is we're going to change this color to brownish type of color. Alright, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower the impasto. Now this basically gives us a base for the ground. Now we're gonna change the color to however we want, a nice brown basically. And I usually like to put this roughness up. Also for the grass, I like to put the roughness up, all the way up. And now we have that. Okay, so now we have a little bottom land with our grass. Now I usually like to change the fleck to the dots for the base ground. Okay, and I also like to change the actual grass, so I would just go to the grass and just double tap twice, and this basically does is it mixes the flecks, so you have two different types of flecks on your grass, which is pretty damn good. So we got that part done. Now we should have a nice landscape looking area with our grass, and we should have a bottom base for our ground. There we go. Alright, now of course you don't want your ground to sound like you're walking on rocks or something, so we're gonna just double tap X, or we can do this in the beginning before we did everything, but I personally forgot to double tap X. But we're gonna double tap X, and let's unhighlight the puppet for now. Okay, and now we're just gonna change this sound to grass. Okay, so now when we're walking, we have a grass sound. Alright, perfect. Now we're going to do the actual landscape. So this takes time. It doesn't take too long though, but it does take time if you want a nice landscape. So after you have that done, you go into the circle, the sphere. Make sure you're in stamp shape mode. You can also use the L1 and triangle to switch between smear and stamp. It's a shortcut. Now do not enable surface snap. Do not. Now you're just basically going to do this manually and add the grounds. So gonna do that. Alright, perfectly fine. Yep, that's perfect. So now, since we live clone it, as you can see, when we make the hills, we still have that bottom base for the grass. But I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna live clone this again, just to add more feature to it, you know? So we're gonna make sure we go back into our live clone, another L1 R2 or whatever, and we're basically gonna just lower the impasto, or we can leave it up and lower the actual ground. So let me just change this color to I don't know, like a pinkish purple. Yeah, like a purplish. And we're just gonna add some like variation to the ground basically. And let's see how that looks. Nope, so now we have a ground that looks like it's filled with flowers, basically. Pretty nice. And yeah, guys, so that's that. I usually just mess with the colors after I place it. You can also go to aerial view and mess with the colors. So yeah, some pink flowers. That's nice. All right. Now after we have that, what we can do is we can actually go in and draw basically some like flower type of sculpts and stuff like that. So I would literally just go to the curvature tool and just do something like this. A little bigger, of course. Maybe a little bigger, and then this is just an example I'm showing you guys. You don't have to do this, but this is just a quick little tip that you guys can use for doing stuff. I'm just gonna make this like pinkish type of, yeah, impasto all the way up. Let's change this to the dots, of course. And a trick is going to the sculpture detail, going to the sculpture detail tool, bringing it down, and you'll start getting that weird shape. And yeah, so there we go. So that's just basically a little tip to make, like, I don't know, some weird flower areas if you want. And now once you have this done, now you could basically just go and just do this everywhere. So you can just draw all over the place and just do a whole bunch of random stuff, as you can see, since you already have that ground. Now I'm just gonna delete that for now. I was just showing you guys a little tip. And yeah, once we have that done, hold on guys, I just got an email. Let's see. Alright, sorry guys. So I was saying, once we have our landscape, now we're gonna actually build the landscape. So for this, I would either look up a picture online, or if you have a great imagination, just imagine a landscape, or just go crazy and just do some random stuff. So me personally, I don't have an insane imagination, so I'm just going to basically just draw this landscape from my head. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna go into the stamp shape mode, go into the blend amount, bring that all the way up, and now we're just gonna start shaping our land. So just gonna do some little hills here. And you're just gonna start doing that. So you can do some big hills here if you wanted. And yeah, as you can see, we have the flowers on the landscape still, which is perfectly awesome. Now, when you're making this landscape, try to avoid doing this right here that I'm doing. You see how I'm like in the edge? try to avoid the edge, and I'll tell you why you want to avoid the edge in a few minutes after I'm done making this landscape. So I'm just gonna do this really fast. Don't judge me on like this landscape. It's just gonna be something really fast. I'm just showing you guys the basic idea of how you would make a landscape. So just gonna do something really quick. Some little hills, little higher top here, there, there, there. Alright, let's see how that's looking so far. Pretty nice. Alright, now let's just do some little lower hills here just for more variation. Let's see, maybe about here, just a little bit, not too much. Just want to add more variation, you know, you don't want to have straight flat ground. Alright, so that's pretty nice. That's pretty decent. Maybe we should add some little higher tops here, like way higher. To add more variation, and yeah, perfectly. Pretty easy, guys. Like I said, the hardest part about this is lighting, and yeah. So we're just gonna just shape out this little hill here that we just made. Alright, and then you could also subtract. So let's say you mess up and you don't like something, you can just subtract. Okay, just like that. See that? And just subtract. It's up to you guys. You could also just delete the circle you made and clear your errors. But like I said, I like how that's looking, so I'm gonna leave that like that. Let's just fix this. That's a little too steep for my liking. So let's just fix that. Give it more variation here and maybe here. Alright, so we have a nice landscape now. A very nice landscape. Right? It's not flat. It has some hills, has some bumps. And yeah, now we basically have to fill up our landscape with trees. Now, I'm not going to be going over how to place trees like me, but if you guys know about the auto guides, I highly recommend you study them and learn how to use them. So you're going to go to your auto guides and turn that on. And yeah, you're just going to start basically placing your trees how you think they would go, or where you think they would go, and just start basically just doing your landscape. And yeah, guys, pretty damn easy. So now if you see here, this area right here where the trees are looks very nice because it had shadows, and now we have an actual landscape starting up. So yeah, I'm just gonna place trees randomly and just yeah. So if you guys are wondering how to place trees like this, you basically use an auto guide and just place that on your tree, change the grab point, and you guys can basically place trees really fast and fill up your map. And yeah, it's really damn awesome. So yeah, we're just filling up the map right now with some trees. If you guys are wondering about these trees, I did make a tutorial on how to make these type of trees. They're very thermo friendly, and they're also published in my in the Dreamverse in my profile. So yeah, it's just another little extra if you guys want to make these really optimized trees. Also, another tip is the touchpad. You can slide it to the left and it'll do a little spin on the trees, so you can just see that, So you can just do that for some like randomization. So yeah, so let's just do that a little bit. Let's shrink the trees a bit. Highly recommend you guys do different sized trees when you're making your landscape, because trees are not just one size. The landscape has different sizes of trees. So just make sure that your trees are different sizes and not just one height. You want variation in your map. And yeah. Alright, so pretty happy with that. Now, it's a little bit too empty for my liking, so I'm just going to keep placing more trees. This is personal though. This is just me personally. I don't want the map to be too empty, even though we're going to add rocks and stuff. Alright, so let's maybe there, yeah, perfectly there. Here. Some shadows there. Yeah, let's add some more shadows here. Let's add smaller trees here actually. There. Let me just spin it a little bit here. There we go. There. Alright, so here's empty, so I'm just gonna literally just place trees like random here. And as you can see, I'm changing the height. I'm not just sticking to one height. And I'm changing the orientation. Alright, so we don't want no like super wide areas unless you're doing something like a river or something. So right here I would do a river. So I can leave that there. So what I usually do is, where I'm gonna make a river, I do some blockouts. So I just get a cube, change it to white, or just leave it how it is, and just place the cube there. So I know that I'm gonna add a river there. Also do this for objects. So let's say I'm adding a house here. I would place a cube there. Adding something else here, I would place a cube there. For example, if I'm adding another tree, but this tree is bigger than the other trees, I would just, and then delete the white box. That's just an example. Okay guys, so that's just me blocking out the areas of where I'm gonna place things. So I'm gonna leave this white block actually, because I'm gonna place a river here. And yeah, so there we got our sky. Now we're gonna fix the sky a bit, because that sky's a little bit too dark for my liking. So I'm just going to raise this sky brightness to about 25 maybe. That's looking better. Maybe a little high, a little brighter. 35? No, because then we start getting that fogginess. So I'm gonna leave it at 25 for now, okay? Now once we do that, we are going to actually do the lighting now that we have our map placed. And let's see, I usually go to these gradient effects. I usually turn this up to about 100. See, now we're getting that nice lighting. You could also turn it down to 50. It's up to you, however you want your lighting. For this, I'm gonna leave it at 50 to 100 maybe. Midtones, bring that all the way up if you want that realistic lighting, or just leave it down. I prefer midtones all the way up. The bloom, of course, you could see the bloom. I usually bring this down all the way, or leave it up. Lens flare, of course, yeah. Sharpness, bring this all the way to negative 100. You could also do different types of temperatures. So like, let's say you want a sunny day type of day. I would just change the midtones. So for example, change it to bluish or pinkish, blah blah blah. Yeah. Highlights, you can leave that the same. It does do a little difference. You see the highlights on the trees. Shadows, I usually bring this either up, sometimes depending on the map colors, or I bring this down. I usually bring it down, so I'm gonna bring it down a little tiny bit. And since I'm changing the area, I'm actually gonna change my grass a bit to make it more darker and more like closer to the maps, the map's type of color. So we're just gonna make this greener. Let's make this more darker, and now we have a nice landscape with some pink flowers and our grass. So now I'm gonna change these pink flowers to a little bit more pinkish. Okay. What I usually like to do is I usually like to go into the FX tool and go into the saturation and make it 40. This gives it a more realistic feel. Less saturated means more realism, by the way, guys. So I'm actually gonna leave it at 44. Yeah, 44. I'm pretty happy with that. And there we got some nice colors going. I usually like to bring the contrast to 10. Maybe a little bit too vibrant for right now though. So maybe 5. Whoops. 5, there we go. Now that's nice, there we go. So let's see what that's looking like right now. Pretty happy with what we got going so far. Alright, so now just go into the Dreamverse, look up some rocks. I usually go to Masterclass, or I just make my own rocks. I will be making a tutorial on how to make rocks soon. So let's just go to Masterclasses. Beautiful rocks. Masterclass. He's also got some really nice trees which you can use for your landscapes. So I guess I'll just mix some trees. I'll use this tree here. And just let's place these trees in some areas, you know. So usually what I would do for trees like this, I would place them more outside the map so that it could look like I'm blocking out the area, you know? So just an example of something you could do, basically you would place these all around the outside of your map. So something like this, for example. And then when you have that, just place it around just to block out your map. I'm just showing you guys an example. And then you'll have some like extra trees around the area. Now I'm not going to leave those trees, I'm just showing you guys an example by it, like I said. And there we go, so now we have some random trees in the area. And now, like I said, we're going to just get this rock. I got this from Masterclass, like I said. Now, I don't like that he has three layers to the rock, so I'm just gonna delete one, and yeah. So we're just gonna place our rocks around our map now. Like, this part is time consuming, but what you can do is use an auto guide. But I haven't set up an auto guide because I got this rock from the Dreamverse. So yeah, so you would just do some random rocks in the area. Place them all over the place basically. Placing them with an auto guide is super fast because you guys saw how fast I placed the trees. That's basically what the auto guide does. Alright, so I'm just gonna leave those rocks for now just so you guys can see what I have so far. Let's change the sun and sky to a little bit of a brighter yellowish. Pretty nice. You can do this. I usually don't, but you can bring that up. I usually bring the detail. You can see the difference. You see that extra shadow right there? I usually bring this, to about 140 because it gives you that extra detail. So I usually bring this to about 140. There we go. Pretty nice. Everything's looking pretty damn nice. Alright, so basically I just went over the basics of how to make a landscape, and I will be showing you guys more landscape tips soon. So here's our block out for the river. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a river. Now I'm not going to show you how to make the water because I do have a separate tutorial on how to make the water. And yeah guys, we're almost done with the tutorial. I'm basically going to show you guys how to make some flowers and the river, and of course adding sounds. So let's just delete our block and let's make this river here. So I'm going to go to the spear, going to the surface snap, smear mode, and I'm just going to basically clear out the area. And then remember, we did a live clone, so it's going to literally clear the whole area, as you can see. Alright, so now we're just going to get our little river thing. I have not released this, but like I said, I went over a tutorial on how to make water on my YouTube. So I'm just going to get my little water plate here. Try to get that as detailed as possible. Alright, and then I'm just going to make my water now. I usually like to bring the shininess all the way up. Ruffle all the way up, impasto down, bring the waves up, bring the throb up, and bring the flow to about 1.0. And there we go, now we got some nice water. It's up to you what you guys want to do with that water. You don't have to do it the same color as me, like I said. It's up to you. And then of course the effect that basically gives you that water feel is the fog. So let's go to the fog. Let's just go to it and make it a cube. Bring this up, bring this up. Now we have our water that looks more like water. Now we're gonna bring the density down. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Let's bring the noise down, let's bring this down. And then you can bring the noise strength down and up. This makes the water more clear or more darker. You could also change the colors. And yeah, etc. guys. There's a lot of things you can do with this. As you can see, this gives me that more realistic water. We can use the noise strength to make it more clear since it's a darker blue now. And for the purpose of this, I'm just going to change this effect to the dots. Alright, there we go. And now since I changed it to the dots, I'm actually going to make this more darker so I can see the water better. Alright guys, so there we go. Now here's a little trick that you can do for the water. So go into the paint of the water. I usually like to select the splat. I like to go to the whites go to the surface snap, and basically you're gonna just do these edges, just the edges, okay? So this is to give an extra effect, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that. And there we guys go. So now we have like that white coating effect of the water. And let's see how it's looking so far. Let's find our little river that we just made. Beautiful. So look at that, guys. We have a little river with water now. Now, of course, you don't want just a river, unless that's what you want. That's a different story, but I usually like to add rocks around my rivers when I make rivers. So let's just add some rocks around. And of course you do want some randomization. You don't want the rocks to look the same. Just add a little rocky area here. There we go. Now we have our river with the rock. Now what you can also do is you can get a light. Bring that up. And now you can go into the use image, change that image to a different image. I usually do the circle. Bring that up. You can either bring the lights up or not, bring the blur, etc. And then you got some little white area, like different types of lighting on the water. And yeah, guys. Alright, so flowers. Alright, so we're just gonna do some quick flowers. So we're gonna go to the paint mode. Okay? And we're going to go into the tools, we're going to go to the draw flex, and we're going to basically draw our flowers. So for flowers I'm going to do black for the stem, or you can do green, it's up to you guys, but for this I'm doing black for the stem. Also make sure you don't have surface snap on. Okay? So we're gonna just do that. See that? Perfect. Now make sure you have tentacle snap on. Okay? Tentacle snap. And make sure you are hiding everything. And now do your flower. So we're gonna just do a little stem. Damn it. I am not the best drawer. You could just... Damn. Alright, there we go. So we got our stem. Now we're going to change this. I'm going to change it to dots, okay? And I'm going to change the color to pinkish. Alright, there we go. Very nice. Now we're gonna go here, gonna go into the impasto, bring that up. We could also bring the looseness up. It's up to you. The stretch, I don't recommend you touch that. The ruffle, it's up to you guys. As you can see, there's a lot of things you can do. Now we're gonna go to the duplicates, go to the inside spear, spread. Or actually, let's use the on disk, or on plane. Doesn't matter which one you use, to be honest. Gonna make some copies. Inside sphere, on disk, whichever one you guys prefer. Do not change the direction unless you're using the around cylinder one, which is the only flat one. I prefer you guys do use this one because it gives you more randomization. And there we go. So now you're just gonna basically place your flowers, guys, so you can do more copies, spread them out more. Make them small, scale them, and so much you guys can do. So once you guys have these flowers, now you basically are pretty good to go. Now you can just get your flowers and you can make another copy of these flowers like this, and you can make another copy like that. Okay, and once you have that, you can just group all the flowers depending on how much flex you have. Like as you can see, I can't group those. That's because it's too complicated. So merge paintings, but then you get this weird thing. But now what you can do is, after you merge the painting, you can go into the copy, go into on disk again, and now you have more flowers. Now we're going to lower the copies, spread them all the way out, and now we can fill the map with extra flowers. That's just a little hint. Just a little hint, okay? Just so you guys could see how this works. And yeah, guys, so there we got some extra flowers. Then we have our flower area, the small one, and we can just place our flowers. And there we go, guys. We have a nice landscape that has rocks, has trees, has little hills, has flowers, and has rivers, of course. Look at that. Now, what I usually like to do is, I used to like to go to the grass, go to the effects, bring the waviness up, and now we have the grass waving and stuff. Okay? The flowers, you could also have them waving, but it's not the same. It's a little bit different, but yeah, guys, there we go. So now we have our little landscape with flowers and all. Pretty damn nice. And yeah, guys, lastly, before I wrap up this tutorial, is our fake sun. So we just bring this up, bring the tint amount all the way up, go here, change this to a bright yellow, bring this all the way up, emit light from glow, turn that off, cast shadows, turn that off. There we go, make sure that's yellow because the sun is yellow. We're gonna actually bring this to about 58, okay, and then we're just gonna basically place our sun and around the map somewhere. And then we're just gonna look, and then there we go, we got our fake sun. And yeah, guys, that's basically how you make a landscape on Dreams. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And yeah, guys, there is one last thing I want to show you guys, and that's just the sounds, of course. So sounds is pretty easy. Sound effects, I usually just go to the ambience, I go to the nature, go to the forest day, and I post that down. When there's water, I usually just go here. I go to the ambient spots, go to the water loops, and I go to the gentle stream, and then I bring this up to maximum, and there you guys go. Hope you guys have a great day and enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you very much for 1,000 subscribers once again.